Roll.
Hi, Rick Rosner?
Yes.
Okay, you have a visitor.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Lance. Come on. You're close. Hey.
Hey, Rick. Are we
finally go to bed together?
Are we filming? Rick just made a joke. Rick said, "We finally go to bed together." See, his delivery may be weakened because of his ailment, but his comedic mind is still strong.
Are we rolling?
Yes.
All right, 106.1. You may have heard of the show on BBC America called Fleabag. Well, welcome to Peabag. This hose goes up my pee hole. All right, let's. You want a little bit of sexy here? Here you go. There's my various incisions. I have five of them, because they used the robotic surgeon in it. Instead of one long incision, you get 5 little teeny incisions. It looks a little like RoboCop mixed with a spider, and its little arms just like stick all. One's a camera, one's an ultrasound, one's a scalpel. And then you've got guys like running these big, you have 2 doctors, each one is riding kind of a giant game console. They stick their face in a hole, they're working, I think there are foot pedals and arm deals. Very high tech, very exciting. Oh, and even more exciting, I got to keep my kidney. I still have 2 kidneys, or like 1.85 kidneys.
Did they? I'm a little unclear. They didn't take one of your legs, did they? So there are still 2 legs.
Well, let's just. I mean, we're getting
Good,
sexy
good. Well,
here.
don't-
I'm going to stop short of my ball sack.
You showed your.
I think
You're
we-
going to have to edit that out. There was
some ball sack.
Yeah, there was.
It's
some ball
educational.
sack, yeah.
We're not showing ball sack.
No, it's
For sexiness value. We're showing
It's the only time that he's shown it for
yeah.
educational
all
value.
right. So still have the legs, and now you're going to hear it first. You're
Hold
gonna
on
hear
one
it-
second.
Are we filming?
We are, but let me
Okay,
skip.
well, you're gonna hear it the same time I hear it. So, what's the deal with the kidney, Rick? I mean, you get to keep both of them.
Yeah.
Now, the little mouse they took off. What?
Well, it takes a week to get the report as to exactly how nasty this stuff is, but odds are like 90% or more that it's your garden variety renal cell carcinoma, clear cell, which is in its small form is cause for optimism.
Was it small? I mean, at least they got a good look at it, right?
Well, when they measured it before, it was 3 centimeters, and I assume it'll be roughly the same
They
size.
didn't tell you.
No, I would hope it would be part of the report.
So they didn't even tell you how big it was.
The
What are you talking
he
about?
kind of said, yeah, roughly, but
Is it smaller than 3 centimeters? Okay.
I would hope, but who knows? Here, you want to join me in bed here and we'll argue about shit? And with a little homoerotic undertone here? Oh, you hate that. You hate homoerotic undertone. It's still Pride Month, so Lance and I are in bed together.
I want you to know I still reject Islam. I reject gay marriage. And if my ass wasn't tired, I wouldn't be sitting here at all. But
You go lean back. Come on, make it a nice 2-shot. Like Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
I'm not going to
minus
have to.
Carol and Alice.
Listen, I hope that it wasn't contagious, was it? I mean, I can't get anything on my kidney now, can I?
No, unless we make out, then it'll,
Listen, I want to tell you something. I saved it till now so that we're both here because I knew that you'd want to hear this when you're lying down. On the way in, I stopped a guy. He looked like a doctor. I said, "What's the deal with Rick Rosner?" And he didn't answer me. He just made a hand gesture. I don't know what it meant. But then he just kind of shook his head.
So this is the
So this is.
so this is the afterlife. Ooh, listen to how deep and sexy my voice is. I had a tube down my throat.
Do you have a tube down your throat right this second?
No.
Oh.
Unless things get crazy in this bed, and then who knows what'll go down my throat.
That's a. Are you catching these things? He's got no filter right now. That's why he's. So I think that's a good sound for you, Rick. I think
No, I
that
like
the
it.
bass voice, maybe you could keep that.
I would like to, because when we normally argue, I get all desperate and am I trying to defend myself, and my voice gets like this. But now it's the voice of quiet confidence.
Shall we begin, Director? Do we have anything?
Yeah, what are our issues? Nancy Pelosi, our director tells me, I've been unconscious for half of today, but he says that Nancy Pelosi says she wants to see Trump in jail or behind bars or some
In
crap.
jail.
In jail.
She said that?
Mhm.
Boy, I didn't hear that. I mean, what do you think about that, Rick?
Well, I mean, he's lived a life of just brazenly doing what he wants, and not all of what he wants has been entirely above board. And yeah, if he did stuff that's illegal, then I can't imagine. I mean, he's the embodiment of white privilege. I can't imagine that he would ever end up behind bars.
I have to be honest with you. We've been going about discussing this for 2 years, and it looks like Barr and a number of the investigators are beginning to connect Obama and Clinton.
You like to say that.
Some of these things.
That's freaking right-wing spin.
Well, okay.
I mean, we could do a bet. If you
Well,
want.
my only problem with it is this. I just can't imagine if they did find anything indictable for Obama and Clinton that they would actually prosecute them. Even
okay,
as
you know
much
what?
as I hate
You know
them.
what that-
Wait a minute, wait 1 second.
But no, I'm going to agree with you.
Did you take a dump in the bed? Is that part of this?
No, there's a little blood because I leaked, but no poo-poo. They clean you out. I had to drink that stuff that means that there's no poo in you in
All right,
case.
so if I'm smelling something horrible, it's not.
It's your own corruption after being
All right.
brainwashed by your media.
All right, go ahead with what you were going to say, Rick.
The argument applies that nobody, no chief executive, no president, no attorney general, nobody's actually no. Nixon's attorney general, was that Mitchell?
That's right.
Mitchell went to prison for.
Did he really go to prison?
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, it's highly unlikely that anybody at that level will actually serve time, even if guilty. So I buy your argument. It's hard to put those guys in
I
jail.
mean, it would really feel like we were living in a banana republic where the new president puts the old president in jail, like something that would happen in the third world. And even if Obama and Clinton deserved it, and I think they
Which
do,
they freaking don't.
then,
Come on.
then
All
how
your
could you? I mean, it would be civil war. I mean, I think people would be up in arms.
Every once in a while, some liberal on Twitter will say it's gonna be civil war, and then a MAGA person will say, yeah, but we have all the guns. Which is the one funny joke that MAGAs make.
How do you feel about Manafort's going to be transferred to Rikers?
To Rikers Island, which is kind of this hellacious, this hell prison in Manhattan. The prison for the city of New York is called Rikers Island, and it is known to be a miserable non-country club prison.
He's gonna
Oh,
be
but
in
let me tell
solitary
you the
confinement.
one tweetable moment that I experienced earlier. We're in the waiting room with all the other patients and their family, and this one guy goes by with his family on the way in, and he tells his family, yeah, that guy, he's here for brain surgery. I can tell from his hat. And we look over, and it's a MAGA hat. So,
Wow. In this happened? This is a real story?
yeah.
Wow. That's funny.
Can you tell the audience where we're at again?
We're at UCLA Ronald Reagan Medical Center, which is slightly ironic because if we wouldn't be in as much trouble as we are as a nation now if it weren't for Ronald Reagan, who was largely a decent and lovable man, though when he was president he was loathed by my ilk. But he set the table, he set the stage for the crop of, well, the succession of increasingly despicable Republican politicians. One of his more famous sayings was the scariest sentences in the English sentence. Sorry, the scariest sentence in the English language, according to Reagan, was, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." And the philosophy of governing of Reagan and his successors is, well, it's the same way you deal with a kidney stone. You break it up, you make it smaller, and then you make it go away. Suck it out. You break the government, and then you complain that the government is broken and that it doesn't, and then you get rid of it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Getting back to that, now, I was listening to Dennis Prager this morning, and he said something very profound. He said that when the communists take over, they become brutally cruel, and they justify hurting other people. They justify sadism. Now, wouldn't you say the way that they're treating Paul Manafort as nothing but pure sadism?
You know, I don't know. And having been unconscious half the day, I wasn't able to research why they're sticking him in Rikers Island. But
Right.
if anything qualifies as sadism, unless there's a reason, except for meanness, yeah, putting a guy in Rikers Island is not nice.
Well, after almost a year of solitary confinement, personally, I like being alone, so it wouldn't bother me. But, I mean, all this guy did was white-collar crime. He's sort of an embezzler, tax fraud guy.
Yeah, to the tune of many tens of millions of
Well,
bucks.
no,
But
I mean,
yeah,
but I mean, it's in
Yeah,
this
so
day
if-
and age, you don't go to Rikers where they, I mean, he's in a tremendous danger, and
well,
not-
they say, some people are saying protective custody, I guess, but yeah, solitary is cruel.
Well, I
And
mean, what I'm saying is, isn't it obvious that the Democrats are, okay, the reason they're moving him to Rikers, what I heard, was literally a technicality. They said it was for his own good. And,
what kind of good is served by putting him in Rikers?
well, exactly.
No, I mean, but how did they, I don't understand.
They said I think, now look, I don't want to quote, because we've got a TV show here, and we have to say everything accurately.
No, we get 60% everything we get wrong.
The district attorney of New York is, I think his name is Cyrus Vance. I think he's related to Cyrus Vance, the former Secretary of State under Carter.
Okay.
And he made up a technicality. The Republicans think that they're only doing it so that he becomes under New York jurisdiction and Trump can't order a federal pardon.
Okay. All right. Well, so
the Democrats are saying that it's because, I believe it's for his safety, but I can't be sure. So I haven't researched that. I didn't bring my computer. But none of it makes any sense. They could easily just leave him where he is. Or frankly, I think my understanding is that he's doing a lot worse time than anybody else that's done this crime. That this is very, very exceptional treatment. And I just think Dennis Prager is right. They are brutalizing this guy. The last I saw him, he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
He wasn't in a wheelchair before they did this to him.
The guy is pushing 70, isn't he? Even though he's...
Yeah, but he was in vigorous health before they went
Until
after
he had to go to prison, and then all of a sudden they're like claiming he's, so that could be legal, or that could be gamesmanship on his side too. Though, are they doing this to see if they can get more information out of him, leverage?
Look, they'll never admit it. I have maintained from the very beginning that these are old crimes. We know that he committed this tax fraud 10, 15 years ago, and they suddenly took an interest in it when they thought they could start sending Trump aides to prison and squeezing them. Now, if he committed tax fraud, they should punish him. But this is, I'm sure the guy would make any kind of deal to stay out of Rikers. I don't understand why it's necessary to do this unless it's just a way of getting at Trump. Either making Trump look bad or getting the guy to tell some story about Trump.
Well, I mean, that's, you use the tools you have.
Well, you see,
I mean, Al Capone, they can't get him on murder and racketeering, so they put him in prison for tax evasion.
yeah, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, it is a communist tactic to destroy your opponent. You have to destroy them. It's like 2 weeks ago. I let it slide. You were calling Trump a racist. He's a racist. And it's like, why can't Democrats just argue the policies? Why do they have to smear a guy? Why do they have to put a guy in jail, put his aides in jail, call him a racist?
All right,
Make it so he can't work in the field he's in, fire him, isolate him, humiliate him. Why can't you just say, look, you don't agree with his policies?
Well, Trump is known for not apologizing about anything ever, but one of the main things he never apologized for was running a full-page ad saying that the Central Park five black and Hispanic teens were falsely accused and imprisoned, found guilty, for raping a jogger in Central Park in the 80s, and later completely exonerated, including DNA evidence. And there's a movie on Netflix right now. You can see the whole story, called, I think, When They See Us. Anyway, the guys were, even after they were indisputably found not guilty, Trump never apologized for saying that they were the culprits. And, I mean, continued to say they were guilty after they were exonerated. And then you have birtherism, and there's a whole long list of things that...
But why does that make you a racist? So even if he was wrong, so he accused some people of a crime,
Well,
they happen to be black, why does that make him a racist?
Well, at the very least, you've got strong statistical and circumstantial arguments that the people he goes after the hardest are not white people.
I don't think you do, Rick, but I'm not...
And really, all you want to do is go on Google and just Google Trump racism, and you will get a list of dozens of things, from the trivial to, the Trump saying that he doesn't want black accountants working for him. He wants the ones with the yarmulkes.
Sounds like an off-color joke. If he did say it.
No, I think they have him on tape.
By the way, what does this little cord do?
Oh,
What's
that's
that
how you.
attached to?
This is the win an argument cord. You
Okay.
grab my pee hose. If I'm
Yeah.
scoring points on you,
Well, I
and
was-
you yank it hard,
wasn't
and
gonna
that
say
will
it,
end
but-
the argument. And then
Interesting.
this one's feeding the antibiotics.
Do you think you really need those antibiotics, Rick?
Yes.
Well, we'll keep that in mind. Now, what else did you have to say about
Oh.
my boy Trump?
Most recently, he did slam Merkel. She's a person of color.
Markle?
Merkel's Casper the Friendly. I mean, she's
Not Angela Merkel, but Markle.
Oh, Meghan Markle.
Meghan
Meghan Markle, yeah. Didn't he
nobody
slam
could be
her? He called her nasty, didn't he?
nasty. Yeah. Because she said something. It was in response to something she said. But what made it dumb was that then he denied saying something that he said on tape 5 minutes earlier.
All right, so this is what
You
happened.
know,
Meghan Markle, about a year ago when he was running, said that she would hate to have him as president for a variety of reasons, that she was going to vote against him, and she said some nasty things about him. And when he got to England, somebody read what she said about him, and he said, God, I didn't know she was so nasty about me.
not the
About
so
me.
wasn't. I
I
didn't
know
know
that-
she was nasty.
Yeah, or something like that. I mean, we're so terrible. We could have the exact quotes, but I didn't bring my computer into the hospital room. Listen, you're lucky you're getting this at all, okay? I had the choice of just letting him
You
go.
know, let's give him some frickin' cleavage at least.
The humanity. Can I help you in some way?
No, fucking. All right, let's give him. I can't give him cleavage. Apparently, my thing is. Oh, you know what? It comes untied. Ooh.
Have it.
Okay. And then let's go for horror. Frickin'. This is a very low quality show. So. But here you go. Okay, here you go.
I have issues with this. Oh, look, a towel. Oh my God.
All right. So.
All right, good. All right, let's keep that. I'll talk to the wound.
Okay.
Listen, you have no business.
Lance, you're
No,
full
they
of
can't
shit,
see it.
Lance.
They can't. Take your fingers away so they can see it. All right.
Lance, you're full of shit, man.
Listen, you got no business calling anybody a racist.
Oh yeah, a lot of business.
No, I mean Meghan Markle.
He didn't
She had no business saying that about him, and it was a nasty thing to say.
I mean, she said it in 2016 before he was ever president.
You know what?
And she said she didn't want him to be president, right?
Yeah, but she was a little unfair in the way she said it. We could get the exact quote. Let's move
No,
on.
but the dumb thing isn't. It's not a race issue.
God, did they stick something in your nose?
Yeah, you have to go up your nose with iodine it helps prevent infection.
Oh, Look what they've done to him. You know, I told him he should just use herbs. I fought against this. I said, you walk into the Ronald Reagan Hospital and you'll never come out alive. And look what they've done to him. I said, get ginseng, get some teas, you mix it up.
No, CBD oil.
Isn't that what Steve Jobs did?
Little marijuana.
What did Jobs use to, yeah, what did Steve Jobs do?
He decided to go, I
To
think,
India or something?
herbal, and
Yeah.
that didn't end well.
No.
All right, but I'm just saying, you can't get much worse than this man. He's emitting. He's emitting from his nose.
Can we see her nostril?
Ah.
Hello. So they make you do it yourself. They
Really?
yeah.
You see those cuts again.
Does it because if you do it yourself, you know if you're hurting yourself?
I don't know, probably.
Once again, explain to us what we're going to see here now. We're seeing.
So instead of
Ooh,
kidney
I didn't see that one. Ah.
kidney surgery used to be that
Cover
they just
up the pubic hair.
oh come on, it's for educational purposes, not for sexy.
That's true.
Though still, I mean, you don't get sexier than that.
Mm.
The straight pubes that are all the way almost to the.
I've never felt this close to homosexuality. I have to admit, I'm getting feelings I've never had before. Anyway, go ahead.
What were we
You were saying that they let you stick for.
Oh, they give you
yourself.
swabs to go up your nose to paint it with iodine. And they also have you wipe yourself down. So Carol and I had a wipe down party. They give you heated antiseptic pads and you just wash your whole body.
Who is Carol for our new viewers?
Carol's my wife, and we had a antiseptic wipe party.
Ooh.
Boy, she's a real trooper. She should have just.
What's
a lot
the-
of women would just leave you as soon as you get sick.
What's the blue thing for? Is it? Do you have leg surgery as well, or?
No, I've got varicose veins. Plus, they do a squeezy thing to keep so you don't develop clots.
Oh.
These things, if you're hooked up to the squeezy thing, they inflate and squish your leg and push the blood out, and then deflate, and they do that every few minutes.
Does it hurt?
No,
Feels good.
it's okay. Oh, I should take it off of here and put it on a nut and have it squeeze my. I should.
Nutsack.
He does that automatically?
Yeah.
So it'll seem like it's someone else.
The stranger.
Wow.
Let's. Oh, we should do that.
Wow. No, we can't. This is still a family show. So,
Okay.
so go on. What is our next topic, Director? Have you thought of it?
Yeah. Well, Trump was in Ireland today, and he was in England yesterday.
At one of his golf courses.
The Queen loved him. He got
No, come on. Did the
He-
Queen?
Piers Morgan interviewed him, and he paid. Well, you want to talk about that, Lance?
All I know is that the Queen probably doesn't feel that good about Meghan Markle herself. You know, I don't know what the appeal is either.
She's smart and she's cute and she represents our country.
Okay.
And she's gone the farthest of any briefcase holder on the Deal or No Deal.
Is that a sign of intelligence?
It's a Horatio Alger story. She goes from holding a briefcase on TV to becoming British near royalty. It's a fairy tale, Lance.
All right. But you know, he had his choice of any woman in the world.
And he picked her because she's smart and I would assume a quality person. She's been, though she's mostly been working on a career. She was she's been very active in causes of equality and other things.
All right.
Rick,
well,
you said that Trump decided to take the whole family, make it a big old vacation. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, there's Trump took Don Jr., Laura Trump, Tiffany Trump, Eric Trump, Ivanka, and Jared. He took them all. Only two of them have actual government jobs, Ivanka and Jared. But he took that whole generation of Trumps to England on the government dime, apparently. And people are wondering, well, what's the deal? And now he stopped off in Ireland to visit one of his golf resorts. And people are wondering, what's all this stuff on the government dime?
Well, you know, the Trump does not accept any salary.
There you go. Okay,
for being president.
there you go. So I will honor that argument.
I mean, I have a feeling that it's sort of balanced out by this trip, but
Well, then I can come back and say, yeah, but how about the 120 days of golfing at a cost of $45 million in transportation and security?
well, how about Michelle Obama having 30 assistants when the normal number of assistants for a first lady is 2?
30 assistants,
She
30
had,
paid assistants.
I don't know the exact number, but it was over 20. So,
And
I
what
mean,
were they doing? They weren't.
They were just
buffing her
attending
nails.
to her. They were attending to her wherever she went. They had numerous plane trips for the Obama family, and
I would bet that Trump, in 2.5 years as president, has spent 4 times as much on travel, on non-government travel, as the Obamas did.
all right. So that's the thing we're going to have to look up.
Okay.
Which presidential family is spending the most money at this point in their presidency? The Obamas or the Trumps on the public dime?
And
That'll be our homework.
And I will give you credit for Trump is not taking a presidential salary. The presidential salary is, I think, $400,000 a year.
Okay.
So, and he's been president for 2.5 years, so Trump gets $1 million credit
All right.
off
Very
his
good.
tab.
Do we have any more questions?
Just he did try on the Churchillian hat.
The bowler?
The actual hat.
Is it a bowler? What is it?
It's not a bowler, I don't think.
Anyway, it's Churchill's frickin' hat.
And there was a little bit of uproar on Twitter.
Why was that? Why was there uproar on Twitter
Because he's
about
not considered Churchillian.
that? Well, I don't think anybody is Churchillian. I mean, in the past
Even
100
Churchill
years-
wasn't Churchillian, isn't
No, I
it?
mean-
That he was super drinky.
Well, in my opinion, Churchill was probably the greatest leader of the past 100 years. Churchill was alone. He's in his own category in that he literally saved Britain. And he made military decisions, he made political decisions that saved Britain, which ultimately saved the world, because if Britain had fallen, it would have been very difficult for the U.S. So nobody's really in Churchill's category. Go ahead.
Let's talk about another guy who saved Britain, Alan Turing,
Okay.
the math genius, the computer genius,
Yes.
who figured out how to break. The Germans had these machines called Enigma machines, and they were code modules. There were hundreds of these machines throughout the German Empire and war effort, and a crazily complex code that the Germans thought was unbreakable, that changed every day, and that was transmitted via these machines and the settings on the machines. And thanks to an incredible secret effort headed by Alan Turing, and you've seen this, it's the movie with Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley, The Imitation Game. They broke the code. The Germans didn't find out they broke the code because they let the Brits continue to let the Germans sink a few ships and some other stuff to make it look as if the code was unbroken. They could have saved ships, but then the Germans would have figured out, well, the only way they would have known to save these ships is and then after Turing had been a fairly out homosexual. He was very out for the time. He made no bones about having relationships with men. I mean, he didn't go on in the newspapers and say it, but I mean, he would take trips to Greece and stuff, and he'd meet guys. But then it came to the attention of the British police because active homosexuality, I believe, was still illegal in Britain, and a guy that he, I guess, was involved with ripped him off, and then Turing reported. I'm screwing up this story, but I'm getting the details wrong. But Turing, I think, reports him to the cops, and the cops are like, "What's this then? You guys were having a thing." And
Did they say, hello, hello, hello? What's all this then? You used a British phrase. Did you know that you knew British phrases for cops?
no, I don't know what I'm saying now because I'm still
Incredible. His mind, his mind is contains the whole
all right,
universe.
so rather, Turing was offered some kind of sentencing choice, or maybe not, but the upshot is he was found guilty of homosexuality, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Sodomy.
okay, and his sentence was chemical castration via estrogen. They forced him to take female hormones. And this is the early 1950s when you couldn't fine-tune hormones. They were, and so he got the full, hormonal treatment, and he grew breasts. He got boobs. He was bereft he got brain fog because these were crude hormones. I mean, like, nowadays you can buy designer hormones that only give you the effects you want, but he got a bunch of unintended hormonal effects. So he lost the ability to think clearly, he got boobs, he was depressed, and he painted an apple with cyanide and ate it and killed himself. The guy who saved Britain, and you could argue the world, in World War II.
Wow.
So, I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna just say D-Day is coming up.
This is our D-Day show, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was the Battle of Midway in the Pacific. Is there anything you want to share about that? And do you think that history, those battles, is this safe to say anybody under 30 probably doesn't even know about the Battle of Midway?
Well, let's do D-Day first.
Okay.
D-Day was the biggest, most secret Allied invasion of the European mainland. It was the big last push that ended the war, on June, which began on June 7th, 1944, and by May 1945 the war was over in Europe, and the Allies landed tens of thousands of troops at great loss of life in some places. And it's one of these presidential style things where Ronna McDaniel, the head of the chairman of the Republican Party. You can't say the whole Republican Party is crap just because the head of the GOP does one ill-advised tweet. But she said, it's D-Day, and can't we do without the negativity? And shouldn't D-Day be for celebrating the invasion of Europe and celebrating our president? And that did not fare well on Twitter. Because our president received 5 deferments from the draft on the basis of a kind of a fake set of bone spurs in his feet. The president, even though he went to military school, he never served in the military. And then he
I heard that he got the deferment because of excessive hair loss.
yeah, well,
So he never served a day in the military. Go on, you were saying bad
I mean,
things
but a
about
lot
him.
of people did what they could to get out. During the Vietnam era, he said about McCain, I like people who weren't captured. He's no hero, basically. He's had just this last week, somebody in the White House had the name of the ship covered, the USS John McCain.
Yeah, that was just an overzealous aid. I mean,
Yeah, so
Trump
like,
said he would never be that petty. He said
yeah,
it
so
was
I mean, some of this
ridiculous.
stuff, like the tweet, is just it's a thing. It's more the parsley on the dish of badness that is the Republicans. It's not a it's the rabbit swimming out and biting Jimmy Carter. It's just a little amuse bouche.
What does amuse bouche mean?
Means amuse your mouth. It's when this is from if you go to a fancy joint, they bring out some little plate that has some like one bite of fancy food between the appetizer and the main course, and you're supposed to feel like the chef has is shining, has given you an extra little treat because you're so special.
Wow. Well, so what you're saying is that you find Trump to be a low martial spirit.
Well, it's a mixed bag because you've argued, he raised military salaries like 3%. When they had been raised significantly. Well, he gave the military a bigger raise than they've received in the past few years.
Well, that's kind of you to acknowledge that.
And he's increased the defense budget.
Well, not only that, but do you know that if you're a veteran now and you get sick, you don't have to go to a veterans hospital? If they make you wait excessively, you can go to a regular civilian hospital, which is something the veterans have wanted for 50 years.
So he has done, as a Republican, and the Republicans are.
And wait, there's more. And what about that Space Force?
Well,
I know how you feel about the Space Force, Rick.
Well, I don't know what to do about Space Force because it's not the move of a sophisticated guy. And in the future, I assume the science fiction-y future that I always talk about with robot girlfriends,
Yeah.
that we will need some kind of strategic presence in space.
Right.
But right now, it seems like just like a ridiculous thing made by a guy who doesn't read books.
Did you know that the president this week signed the first presidential order in the history of the U.S. that all agencies are directed to start defending themselves against the EMT weapon.
Now see that, okay, I can talk about that. It's again, it's a thing done by a guy who's not a sciencey guy and doesn't have any sciencey guys around him.
But don't you think it's good that we start putting up defenses against EMP, that's right. I said EMT, I'm sorry. Go ahead. It's
Electromagnetic pulse.
Oh yeah, don't you think that's a good idea, Rick?
No.
No, we don't have to worry
Well,
about that?
well, yes and no. The deal is, okay,
Are we rolling?
yeah.
Okay, Rick
Yeah.
on EMP.
All right. So, if you watched either Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12, they knocked out all the computers in the Andy Garcia's casino, or they knocked out the security using. They made a van. They built a van that would generate an EMP, a pulse, a strong enough pulse of electromagnetism that it fried any sensitive circuit. And then they got away with like $150 million from the casino. And the deal is that EMP is a real thing that accompanies a nuclear explosion. But the deal is that in reality, you can't, people who don't know how they actually work think you can set off a nuclear weapon above America and that it will send out a pulse that will fry every electronic circuit in America.
Okay.
And that's just not the case. The EMP, I assume, at most, would have a radius of, like 50 miles. And the nuclear weapon itself would have a radius of many miles. So you can't, if you wanted to blanket America with EMPs and knock out our circuitry via nuclear explosions, well, there's nothing but smoking wreckage under the blanket of nuclear explosions anyhow. That it's not I don't believe there's a way to use EMPs without setting off a whole shitload of nuclear weapons, which is a much bigger problem than frying some circuitry. Now, should some things be built out of more durable circuits that won't be fried by EMPs? Yeah. Should every circuit in a essential circuit in America be shielded from or built out of old school electronics that is like, if you set off an EMP above a parking lot full of cars, the cars built in the 60s might still run because they don't have any delicate circuits. Everything's big blocky, wires and such, and not integrated circuits that are circuit boards that are.
Who are the
I'm gonna have to
perpetrators?
add-
Who are
I'm
the
gonna-
perpetrators of this?
What?
Who are the perpetrators?
Oh,
of this?
people who don't know science say that North Korea might set off an EMP and knock out all our electronics.
So is it smart for Trump to try to make nice with North Korea?
No, but it's not something but not on the basis of that. It's not something North Korea could do. You could make the case that North Korea, which is bad at delivering nuclear weapons so far, You could make a sensational case that just one nuclear weapon from North Korea would knock out all America's circuits, which is a bad argument because it's wrong and dumb.
All right, very good. I also heard that Trump, what other good thing did he do this week? You remember he did something else. He's going to try to switch to paper ballots for voting.
If he's doing that, and if he does it the right way, is that a national initiative?
That's
Or-
what he's recommending. That I mean, it sounds like
That's such a good idea that it seems like it's not his idea. Somebody must have told him to
I
do it.
heard him out of his. It was out of his mouth. I mean, maybe he didn't think of it, but I think we're going to have to go back to paper ballots. Otherwise, who knows? Maybe the Russians will interfere in our election.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, if
So-
he's doing that, that's a good thing.
All right. Anything else, Director? Do you have any ideas?
We should talk about some like non-political shit.
Yeah,
since-
I was gonna say, unless you have, well, I was just real quick, Rick. You're going through this right now, this experience, and this is a question for both
Oh,
of you.
also they gave me a vagina while I had the gender reassigned.
You checked the wrong box. Now it's so easy. You look at them wrong and they hack off the winkle. Actually, I was going to ask you this. This is probably the first day since you
No,
were
I kept
9
no,
years-
no. I kept my penis. They gave me a vagina in addition.
All right. I was going to say that this is the first day since you were 9 that you haven't masturbated. I mean, have you had a chance? It's a lot of pressure.
No, hold on.
The night's still
I have a
young. The
story
night's still
about this.
young.
Okay, and I have to
It's
say,
almost midnight.
I have to memorialize my dad. My dad passed away. Today, while I was getting operated on, it was at the exact same time was his funeral, which is sad. But a year and a half ago, my dad, who was up until that point was, thriving as much as an 86-year-old CPA can be thriving. He was still doing people's taxes, even though everybody's like, your practice isn't making money anymore. You should quit doing people's taxes.